think we should have learned our lesson from alcohol prohibition.
No, absolutely.
Exactly right.
For my grandparents, while they were still alive, they said it's the same thing with drugs as alcohol, but they say stay away from drugs because it's not like the old days. The police used to be on the payroll. Nobody had anything to worry about.
Yeah, right.
But then again, I think if the police were on the payroll now with drugs, I don't think that would be nothing to worry about. So I think she was a little too, doing the class.
Yeah, yeah.
Is crack and/or methamphetamine? It depends. Most people think crack, but now it's methamphetamine is the thing. Is it instantly addictive for everyone?
I don't think there's such a thing as instant addiction to anything, is there?
There is possibility, yes. Some certain psychochemicals
Really?
can cause a person to stay with it, but not being aware of the fact he's staying with it, and increase the dosage with time, and it's a lethal
But I mean,
situation.
nobody becomes really addicted to anything the first time they experience it. There has to be
There has to be a feedback, yes.
there has to be continual exposure,
Yes.
at least 2 or 3 times.
Mhm.
I mean, nothing. I don't think anything can addict you the first time.
I've seen people who just have addictive personalities, compulsive or whatever.
And I've seen people who've gotten into drug areas in which they are using it every 20 minutes for their entire life. I mean, as long as they live.
Mm.
Yeah,
And it's completely
but
committed.
that's not an addiction. An addiction is a physical as well as a psychological thing.
Or a psychological thing.
Well, it depends on your
Yeah.
definition of addiction.
Mhm.
Because real addiction, like as with heroin or cocaine, even with those, you don't become addicted the first time.
That's right.
If you have been deprived in many ways psychologically, and then you come across something that seems to answer all your problems, then that can be an immediate psychological addiction.
Like going to the right church at the right time, at the right kind of ministry, you become addicted.
Exactly. But this is not it's not a physical addiction, it's a psychological desire.
Well, I think the people who asked this question in the original form didn't even make any difference between a psychological or physical addiction. I think addiction is like a singular thing for them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, I think they just demonize all substance use that isn't
like the
condoned.
people who don't realize there's absolutely worlds of difference between narcotics and psychedelics.
Mm.
I mean, they're 2 totally different worlds. There are only 2 psychedelics I can think of that are habituating or addicting. One is marijuana, can be habituating.
Very much so.
And ketamine.
I mean, too. Mhm.
Both of those can become truly addicting.
Mhm.
But I don't think that there's any other.
There are probably, you can search around and find examples.
I mean, there are people who want to keep taking
Oh, yes.
a lot of them, but they're not addicted. They can stop quite easily.
Would you consider the seductive nature of fame to be addictive?
Fame?
Fame.
Oh,
Or only if you haven't experienced it.
or you haven't experienced it.
But if you haven't experienced it, it's addictive if you haven't experienced it? I don't-
The whole idea of fame is addictive to those who've not experienced it.
So, once you've been exposed to it, you
You go on living your normal life.
adjust it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So,
You say so?
Well, it depends on the personality. The little fame that we have, which I call the big frog in the small pool, the fame brings with it a lot of nice little things that you can get in places where other people can't get in, etc. But actually, fame itself can be a considerable difficulty because being famous automatically separates you from the people who don't know you but who have conceived some kind of picture about who you are.
Mm.
And as soon as you become a real person to them, then then that's something your audience is not always prepared for. People need other people on whom they can project a lot of things. And when you are famous, whether it's a little bit or very, you realize that most of the people looking at you with adoration are not seeing you at all.
Mm. Yeah.
And you're very much separated from them, so it becomes very lonely.
Yeah. There's something of I think there's something of an expectation that you have to be on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And also, yeah, I've found that some of the people I've had who wanted to be friends, they're just kind of like entertain me. It's like, well, yeah, if you weren't here, I'd be doing other things.
Yeah.
It's kind of a drag, especially when you realize it's pretty much one way with some people.
Yeah. That's very much that way. No, we're lucky because we have some very, very good friends. You know, we have lots of very good friends.
Bright friends, too. I think that makes all the difference sometimes. People, if they have the intellect, then it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to communicate and say, well, this is the situation.
Sure.
How should the age of consent be determined?
Consent for what?
Permission to adult activities. There would be, you know, did you say minors shouldn't be exposed to drugs, but should it be an arbitrary age? Or?
Well, the age at which a young person can legally be sent off to die for his country should be the age of consent. If he's capable of being used by his country that way.
Used or used up.
Yeah. If he can die for his country, then he should have the right
The right to do as you wish.
do other things.
So I believe in a truly free society. There should be an age where a sane adult, whatever that is, should be allowed to do whatever they want with their lives, because otherwise you're not really treating them as an adult.
Sure.
What's the definition of an adult?
Adult? I don't know. This is the thing. Do we say it's determined by age? Should there be some kind of ritual or test? Or, I don't know.
That's part of it. Is a teenager an adult?
Which teenager? It's the thing. Do we go by age, or is there some other criteria that seems more relevant?
Yeah. If you're thinking of emotional maturity. There are some people who never achieve it.
Yeah, some people are perennially immature, yes.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah.
But who is going to be the decider, as Bush used to say?
Yes, I don't know. It seems like they just pick a number, and it's not a one-size-fits-all situation, and I don't have a clear answer for it either.